So that son of a bitch, Morton County Sheriff Kyle Kirchmeyer, he actually did it. He gone on and done it. Jill Stein was charged yesterday, Wednesday, September 7th, 2016, with 2 misdemeanors, criminal trespass and criminal mischief. They also charged Ajamu Baracka, Jill Stein's running mate, received the same charges. So they're criminals, criminal trespass, criminal mischief. So they're outlaws now, right? They're running around with a warrant. They got a warrant for their arrest. Jill Stein had spray painted in red, "I approve this message," on the blade of a Caterpillar bulldozer at the Dakota Access Pipeline protest by the Ochita-Sakowee. And there is larger spray painting over the blade that had said, "Protect our water." So what was the message that she approved of? Protecting our water. I approve of that message too. So Jill Stein was approving of the message, protect our water. So who disagrees with that? Do you disagree with that? Ajamu Baracka allegedly spray painted decolonization on something. Allegedly. It was written down on the authorities' paper. So clearly it must be true if the authorities are saying it. But decolonization. Yeah, let's decolonize. I agree with that. And you know what? Spray painting an old rusty bulldozer blade, it's a good thing anyways. A good spray painting helps protect the metal of that bulldozer blade. So if anything, there's an extra layer, an extra coating of protection. So they should be paying Jill Stein for her labor and for her service. And then now that I think about it, wasn't it an IDF D10 or D20 war dozer Caterpillar that flattened Rachel Corrie in Palestine in 2003? Wasn't it Caterpillar? Yeah. Yes, it was. So Judge James S. Hill seems to be the one who actually issued the warrant out, even though his signature is suspiciously sloppy as all hell. If you're proud, you know, why not say very clearly James S. Hill? But Judge James S. Hill is running unopposed this year, so he's allowed to be as much of a fascist, totalitarian, Nazi dickhole as he wants to be. Morton County Sheriff's Office spokesman Rob Keller said that the warrant has been filed, and if authorities were to come across Jill Stein, they would arrest her. However, the warrants are only valid in North Dakota, which means that Jill Stein and Ajamu, I gotta learn the pronunciation of that, but Ajamu Baracka will only be arrested if they go back to North Dakota. The 2 misdemeanor charges are Class B misdemeanors, which means their maximum fine will be 30 days in jail or $1,500, or both. And you know what? $1,500 could break a poor person. Many working class peoples do not have $1,500 in their bank accounts, so they'd have to give up 30 days of their life in order to pay their fines. Now compare that to Kelsey Warrant. Kelsey Warrant is the billionaire CEO of the parent company of the Bakken Dakota Access Pipeline. If he was convicted of criminal mischief for spray painting, he could easily pay the $1,500 maximum fine and just be on his way like it was nothing. Kelsey Warren would emerge from the charges unscathed. But of course, Kelsey Warren would never be in the same position as Jill Stein, because that would require Kelsey Warren to actually give a damn about other people. And that's not him. Kelsey Warren would never do that. Have empathy for others. And we shouldn't have one criminal justice system for the rich and powerful and one for the rest of us. I'm actually in favor of proportional fines, where a person is fined proportionally dependent upon their income, of which Kelsey Warren pays none. He pays no income taxes. There was this one rich person was speeding in Switzerland. He got a $290,000 speeding ticket, which I think is the record for the most expensive speeding ticket ever issued in the world. And that's a good thing. Because, like what I said, $1,500 or $150 speeding ticket to a Kelsey Warren, what's that to them? Kelsey Warren is worth over $4 billion. He's part of that billionaire class that Bernie Sanders was railing against. He's part of that billionaire club, which is exclusively just 400 people. So what's $150 to Kelsey Warren? $150 is a pittance to Kelsey Warren? What incentive does Kelsey Warren have to follow our society's laws? None. $150 ain't shit to him. It's a pittance. Before the warrants were issued, Jill Stein said in a statement that she hoped that North Dakota authorities would press charges against the real vandalism taking place at the Standing Rock Ochetasakowin Reservation. The bulldozing of sacred burial sites and the unleashing of vicious attack dogs. And the unleashing of the vicious attack dogs is reminiscent of segregated Alabama's police attacking civil rights protesters in the 1950s and 60s. Plus, they did that to the Native Americans in the 1400s. Then there's also the breaking of international law per the United Nations, since the federal regulators didn't get the input of the Standing Rock Reservation's Ochetasakowin. They didn't get the Ochetasakowin's input before they began digging. And, of course, we all should know that the Ochetasakowin is the 7 Council Fire Nations, which you intolerable racist bastards call the Sioux. It's the Ochetasakowin. That's their name for themselves. Sioux is an exonym, a racist exonym like Winnebago is for the Ho-Chunk people, which is also a part of the so-called Sioux. It's the Ho-Chunks and it's the Ochetasakowin. And when it comes to the Standing Rock Ochetasakowin, I'm 100% in complete solidarity with them. From a solidarity aspect, from a climate change aspect, from a pro-environment aspect, from a anti-big oil perspective, from a wealth inequality aspect, and from protecting the water aspect. So, Ochetasakowin forever. Jill Stein was arrested during her 2012 campaign, which shows that she's got bigger balls than Ralph Nader. She's got more courage than Ralph Nader. She's got bigger boobs. She don't have any balls. Anyways, well, it makes me think of that Betty White joke. That balls are weak, but pussies can take a pounding. But Jill Stein was arrested last year because she believed she deserved to be on the debate stage. And she should be. Currently, Jill Stein is on the ballot outright in 44 states. 47 states if you count the write-ins, and I don't see why you shouldn't. But Nevada, and it's Nevada. Y'all don't even know how to pronounce your own damn fucking name. Fucking Nevada. Hillary Clinton country. Oklahoma and South Dakota. They don't believe in democracy, so they're like, fuck Jill Stein. You can't even write Jill Stein's name there. So, fuck Nevada. Fuck Oklahoma and fuck South Dakota. Fuck them. But my point is, what should be the threshold for somebody to get into the debate? There's 538 electors in the Electoral College, which are the only votes that count in the U.S. election anyways. The votes of 538 people. That's it, okay? So, don't think that your vote actually matters. It's the Electoral College. But, it's influenced by all of our votes. That's the supposed system. But I think they could actually nullify our vote and vote however the hell they wanted to vote. And if we were, informed about it, I like to think that we would stand up and do something. That's democracy, when the government is afraid of the people. Fascism is when the people's afraid of the government. Okay, so there's 538 electors, and it takes 270 electoral votes in order to win the presidency. So if you're on the ballot in enough states to win that 270 electoral votes, then you should be allowed in the debates. You can become president. You have the opportunity to become president. So if you're on enough ballots to actually win the 270 electoral votes, then you should be a part of the debates. So it's 270 electoral votes, 538 total. If you subtract the electoral votes from those 3 anti-democracy states, Nevada, Oklahoma, South Dakota, then that leaves 457 total electoral votes that Jill Stein could possibly get. 457 electoral votes is way above the necessary 270. It's, over 180 electoral votes over what she needs to win the presidency. That should be the threshold for getting into the debate. If you're on enough ballots to win, enough electoral college votes to win the presidency, then you should be allowed to debate. Bernie Sanders is against Kelsey Warren's Bakken pipeline. And so is Jill Stein. Gary Johnson's probably for it, since he's in favor of a dog-eat-dog free market laissez-faire, some sink, some swim in this rat race anarcho-capitalist. But with the plutocratic, imperialist, fascist duopoly, Drump the clunk, shrillery, killery, billery, with celery and turnip, mum's the word. They haven't said nothing about it. Only Jill Stein, out of the 4 mainstream presidential candidates, have actually supported the Standing Rock Ochetti Sakowin position. Their solidarity. Just something interesting, of the 4 mainstream candidates for president, Gary Johnson would be the youngest at 63 years old. Jill Stein is 66 years old. Celery is 68 years old. And Turnip is the oldest at 70 years old. He's the old man, 70 years old. They're all 60s and 70s, but I just thought it was interesting that Jill Stein is younger than both Celery and Turnip, and then Gary Johnson's the youngest out of all of them, but they actually are in the same decade, 63 to 70. They're the baby boomers. And in general, Jill Stein and Gary Johnson are both in way better health than the duopoly imperialist plutocrat candidates. So let me get on my soapbox here for a second, just for a second, okay? And this is just a question for Kyle Kirchmeier and that fucking Judge James S. Hill. So, I mean, don't we have a bunch of war criminals that are just running around here unarrested? Berta Cáceres, a mother environmental activist, was murdered by the coup d'etat government in Honduras. And it was our government that helped coup d'etat Honduras. And as a bunch of refugees were coming from Honduras, we sent them back. And yet war criminals who have killed a million people at least walk amongst us free as a naked jaybird. Here are some charges I think I'll never hear Sheriff Kyle Kirchmeier or Judge James S. Hill ever charge anybody. Malicious prosecution. Will they arrest or issue warrants out for malicious prosecution when the prosecutor gets overzealous? Will they arrest the prosecutor, the county or whatever attorney, state's attorney? Will the judge issue a warrant out for them? Or how about the theft charges on the police for all the civil forfeiture property that they steal? Don't Kyle and James think stealing is a crime? Theft? You never charged anybody with theft? Don't Kyle and James, what about the official misconduct charges? Why don't you level some official misconduct charges against the corrupt officials? When Jill Stein was arrested in 2012, she was handcuffed to a chair for 8 hours. So will Kyle and James arrest those cops and jailers who would do something like that for illegal detention, false imprisonment, or for false arrest? How about breaking and entering? Cops break into your house without a warrant, without probable cause. You going to arrest them for breaking and entering? Hell, do cops ever get arrested for any of this shit? Cops don't even get arrested and charged for outright murder, let alone misdemeanors. Oh, the grand jury failed to indict. There's a big shocker. Oh, well, who cares? That's just another human life that slipped down the drain. I know why Kyle Kirchmeier and James S. Hill would never arrest each other. It's because they're on the same side. It's them versus us. It's the government versus the people. Because they're the white-collared mafia. And the white-collared mafia never snitch on each other. They are loyal to one another. For them, snitches get stitches. They're a corrupt criminal gang, and they run this shit. And they run this shit in defense of capital over labor, in defense of corporations over people, in defense of profits over humanity. There's been other demonstrations in Iowa, South Dakota, and Washington, D.C., too. Well, I'm down from my soapbox now, okay? So there's still, there's more people I've seen protesters actually in Texas who were protesting the Kelsey Warren's corporation. In D.C., I've seen protesters in Iowa, South Dakota. So you're getting a lot of people, we're seeing a lot of people get riled up, and this is good for solidarity. That's what, when I look at the Native Americans, when I look at the Ochetti Sakowin, I am envious. They have a brotherhood. They have a common sense of humanity. They know who they are. They're fighting for a common purpose. With unions at 7%, when it comes to the desecration of their sacred burial sites, I know of cemeteries that my ancestors live in that have been dug up. And so for them to actually say, well, that's an outrage, you know, that shouldn't be for a jail. It was for a jail in Kenton County. I'm jealous. I'm envious of that. Where's the white solidarity? Where's the rainbow coalition? Where's this, where are the people at? Maybe I'm just, too isolated and I don't have a good support system, which I'm working on. So don't worry about me, America. I'm all right. But just in terms of solidarity, just in terms of people over profits, just in terms of, being in favor of the water and being in favor of the environment and being in favor of the people. I'm in solidarity with the Oceti-Sakowin. 30 people were arrested in Boone, Iowa. In South Dakota. South Dakota's anti-democracy, so you couldn't even vote for Jill Stein in South Dakota. You all have a fucked up Secretary of State. Your laws are anti-democracy, South Dakota. 30 people arrested in Boone, Iowa recently, a couple weeks ago. And then there was also a fire that authorities say was arson, and it damaged about $1 million in equipment. That happened in Iowa too. So, Oceti-Sakowin forever. Viva la revolution.